Well, good morning from South Wilder Lake. Sun once in a while pokes out. It's pretty late. It's after 8:30. Next to the fire grate, I got stuff scattered all over the place here that I'm gonna my socks, trying to get a little drier on those before I put them on to hike again today. Cooking myself some oatmeal on my Fancy Bud alcohol stove. There's the sun. When the sun pokes out, it's pretty awesome. Really warms it up, but this west wind is blowing down the lake, so I'm kind of back here. It's a lot windier out there by the fire grate area. The wind picked up again pretty strong last night about 10-11 o'clock and blew for quite a while. But it was cold. I don't know what it was, actual air temperature. I didn't have my thermometer out, but I think it was, it had to be freezing. It was darn cold. And these two trees right here, they're rubbing on each other, rubbed all night long, and it sounds like a combination of I can imagine a bear growling at its cubs, or a some moose fighting, or some squirrels fighting, or some other weird sound went on all night. And even in distance, once in a while, it actually sounded like somebody singing, and that kind of it was bizarre. It was truly bizarre, and I kept waking up to it over and over again. I slept with most of my clothes on. Just minus my pants, long underwear on, big wool socks, and this puffy jacket I ended up taking off and wrapping, putting over top of my legs and feet area. That helped a lot there. But yeah, any little crack under that quilt, and boy, the wind was cold. So I survived. Now I'm finally on the move. It's like 10:45. Just barely been walking at all. A few up and overs or crawl unders here on this section of the trail. Not too bad. A late morning. I hadn't filtered any water, so I had to do that this morning. Tent was very wet. Had to dry that some. And I slept in till 8, and really took my time getting out of the tent because it was so darn cold. But cold. I mean, I've camped in below zero. It's just the generalness of it. A lightweight backpacking load. I'm just could have carried a lot more clothes, but then that, of course, would be a lot heavier. So anyway, I'm on my way today. Some sections of this trail are cut out of absolute solid vegetation. Pretty amazing. All this work, thanks again. And then this got these dead jack pines, which will all continue to fall. There's millions of them, literally, and they'll just continue to fall and block the trail. But look at the work to cut all this out by hand. Yeah, this section of the trail from South Wilder to North Wilder is just a lot of this. Rocks, bare rocks. This doghair jack pine, to literally, you could not walk 10 feet into 2 feet, really. It's unbelievable how thick it is. And then it's just kind of, like I said, rolling up and down rocks, turns, a couple of little nice granite outcroppings, which are nice, a couple small vistas, And then the Wilder Creek crossing, which is kind of a pretty place. But just a bunch of this, I'm sort of looking forward to getting to North Wilder and maybe be able to see again a little bit. Trail comes down here off of this rock and hits a portage trail. It's actually fairly well used. Surprising. I think this is a PMA, but that's the Powwow trail. And one way or the other is the Powwow, and I assume it's to the right here because these blue flags. There's a couple of them. We'll go to the right. I think it goes to Harbor Lake between North Wilder and Harbor. And somewhere along here. Oh, right here. That was easy. There, now we're back. There's the cairn. Now we're back on to the Powwow in Harbor Lake. Or that would be North Wilder, would be that way. Well, here just a little bit further, there's a latrine right down here. Here's the trail where I came from. There are a bunch of rocks in a row there. It kind of looks like there's a spur going off that way. I can't really tell if that's where the campsite is. It must be close here though, because the latrine is right here. It could be down this area. There's so many trails that look like spur trails. In the distance I can see North Wilder there, so one of these goes down to the campsite. I'll figure out which one. There are a couple different little spur trails near that latrine which head to the campsite. Here is a usable tent pad, rocky and unlevel, but better than the one I set up on last night. And here's the campsite, like right behind this little island. Beautiful little rocky island. There's maybe another tent pad down there. Beautiful spot though. Here's the fire grate. Fairly poor water access, but pretty nice overall. There's a couple of other tent pads, one there and one back there. I'd stay here. For reference, it is 1.4 miles from the South Wilder site to this one. I guess if you're into cliff jumping, maybe this is a good spot for that. Pretty little lake. You know, there's a stubborn, mature Norway that survived the fire. Everything else burned. One tree. Miracle. So getting close to the north end here of North Wilder. Nice. It's got all the indications of a canoe portage landing. Well, all these trees have blown in here, of course, but if they weren't here, and you saw this flat area and this really worn, beaten path up the hill, sure looked like a canoe landing to me. But apparently I've done a lot of trail work here. Now there's a beautiful rest spot here on the far west end of North Wilder. Trail comes from that way and then just goes down a sheer cliff, and then two ways. You can either go down this way, or this way is flagged to go down that hole. But I'm just sitting here, resting my legs, enjoying the view, having a snack, lubing up my feet. Had kind of a hot spot this morning, I don't know why. Man, it's beautiful. You come off that rest area on the west end of the lake, it's a completely different environment. You've got kind of a flat, sod sort of area here, and no rock, lots of aspen trees. Completely different landscape all of a sudden. Pretty neat. Funny, these aspens have lost their leaves already. Yeah, this whole area I'm on, kind of from one type of forest to another. Looks like it was a grove of large white pines, or could be Norway pines. They're kind of tall and skinny. They don't have any limbs like or knots, like a Norway would have. Oh, there's some bigger trunks in the distance. Yeah, this is probably a big grove of white pines. Oh yeah, there's a big one laying right there. Oh yeah, if you had a dispersed camp, this would definitely be a place where it would be possible to do it. And water access wouldn't be far away. Oh yeah, for sure. Big monarchs there in the distance. An impressive overlook here. What a nice spot to camp, actually. Big rocks. You can really see. Fall colors are just popping. There's a beaver dam down here. The trail crosses the swamp down over on this side. And there's a massive boulder right there. 8 foot tall at least. And just after the big boulder area, and that nice area just west of North Wilder, getting to a nice bog. Soft, spongy bog. And over here, there's actually a patch of green trees. Spruce or something that grew up in that bog that somehow survived the fire. Oh yeah, just squishy. It just smells like this. I think this is a Labrador tea that's in here. Wow, this is absolutely beautiful. A little squishy, but not bad. If you look here, cranberries. That's pretty neat. There's a lot of them in here too. In amongst the moss. Just everywhere, actually. Wow, a guy could pick buckets full. Well, I tried a few. They're tart, very tart. They're actually pretty tasty. I'm just going to grab a handful and suck on these as I walk, I think. Pretty nice. Horseshoe Lake up in the distance. Here's the large boulder, perhaps, that people talk about. Supposedly the campsite spur trail is right from this rock. Sorry for the wind. Yeah, there's the green zone. We'll be walking through later. It's a pretty good sized lake. I'm here on Horseshoe Lake campsite. The spur trail here is quite long actually from that boulder, but it's a big open canoe site. There are a few living mature trees. Well, they're not that mature, but they're not, I don't think they're regrowth since the fire. These cedars are, aren't. This little jack pine might be regrowth, but and I'm getting a little bit of shelter here because the wind from the north, or I guess northwest, is kind of pounding in here. It's kind of chilly. So I'm cooling off my feet. I'm digging through my food barrel here to find myself some lunch to eat. I'm gonna have M&Ms as a snack and maybe a drink mix thing. This one's gonna be dragon fruit. Alright, that's into the food bag. And teriyaki chicken it is. I've got a tortilla wrap thing folded up in there. Take that out. Just empty the pouch into it, fold it up, and eat it. Nice and simple lunch. Usually I pack it in the top pouch and that sort of thing, but I knew I'd be taking kind of a long rest break sometime today, so may as well just, I gotta dig out my other food bag out of the pack anyway, so I may as well just get this out of the food bag. There we go. Feet are feeling better. And that point over there with the trees on it was where I had lunch. And the trail goes all around the bay here, through the trees. There's a few survivors, including these big Norways, but they're pretty sparse. They're looking a little sick. I suppose the drought last year was stressful for them. But if you look, there's a tremendous amount of regrowth of Norways and cedar trees. It's just thick. Some balsam firs too, but lots of pine regrowth. That's not jack pine for a change. And here, right up ahead, here comes the green zone. See how that goes. Do something different. There's a latrine stored here. Just in storage, not for use. Got some lumber with it. Assume it's going to go over to that campsite in Horseshoe, I would think. I never did go look at it to see. That Forest Service plop it there, I suppose. The hiking trail then meets up with a portage landing. Not a real big portage trail as far as portage trails go. Apparently the two merge together here by the looks of it. Oh yeah, it's old cedar forest. Yeah, this is really nice. Oh, actually, no, I lied. That was not the portage landing. That was just a little water access off of the hiking trail. Here's the portage landing. That's more like it. That's more what I expected here on the numbered lakes. Giant rocky landing. And a trail big enough to drive a car through. Hiking trail continues that way through these nice cedars. There's the Lake 3 side of the portage. Had to come over and check it out, it's so short. Beautiful landing. The campsite right on that peninsula, and a bunch of people there. Oh, that is a nice landing. Sandy. Well, I'm going to come over here someday by canoe and hopefully get a chance to check out Horseshoe Lake more in detail. Yeah, it is so nice actually being back in the trees again. And burn areas have their own special beauty, but I must say this is pretty nice. Giant Norway pines. Oh, that's a big one there. Wow. 50, 60 feet to the first branch. I think the most startling difference, well, besides the trees and the shade, is just the lack of wind. There's no wind in here, and it's so quiet. I almost hate to talk compared to in the burn area. I can hear all the squeaks and stuff in my packs. There's actually wildlife in here. Red squirrels and chipmunks. I haven't seen any of those on the whole trail. Wow, that's an impressive cedar grove. Yeah, this is neat. I always wondered if they did any logging in here during the Tomahawk timber sale when they were logging all the area south of here where the forest center is, and surely they have. These are cedar stumps. There's young cedar trees growing out of the stumps. 2 of them cut off right there. So yeah, notice how much smaller the trees are in general versus just back here where I was. So apparently they set a line or something near the portages or campsites or something and only log so close to them. Interesting. Now we're up to a weird intersection, big intersection. That's a pretty well beaten path, and so is that. That's bigger. I assume that's the trail, and this is probably a spur trail to the Lake 3 campsite. I'm gonna go check it out and see how far it is. Well, here's a Lake 3 site that's accessible from the hiking trail. Beautiful site. Pretty windy. Been windy the whole time pretty much. I'm kind of glad I didn't go on a canoe trip. I would have been fighting this wind the whole trip. Wow. And it burned the heck out of it. I've been through Lake 3 before, but I think the main body of the lake is straight out over that way, and I didn't go beyond those points. Kind of something that this end of the lake survived. Looks like the whole end of it did. But a very short time, you can tell the burn is going to be end right there, so I'm very close to it. Spur trail, for reference, is probably 0.2 miles. It's quite a ways. Oh, there's something bright over there. I don't know if you can see it, but I think it's a canoe. But it's up on the rocks. Someone walking around up there. Must be another site over there or something. There's the campsite on the point right there, just where I was. Sorry for the wind. And yeah, that took me 15 minutes to get out. I'm moving right along to get out of there and walk the spur trail. There's a nice overlook here, and this is the end of the green zone. So this section here between Lake 3 and Rock of Ages is also kind of high country here. All aspen and birch regrowth, scattered spruce tree. Very flat, smooth actually. Not a lot of rocks. Pretty nice. I think it looks like there was a lot of aspen trees here during the fire and they just got obliterated, so pretty much nothing left standing. But it's a nice little section. easy walk. I'm totally out of the wind now. I'm walking directly away from Lake 3. Like a big switchback here or something. But my plan is to head to Rock of Ages and stay there. I've always wanted to check out that lake, and what the heck, it'd be nice to stay there too. There's Rock of Ages Lake in the distance. Been following, right before I got there, I've been following this big cliff face with this great view quite a while along here. Pretty neat. As far as you can see in the distance, burned trees, and way in the distance. Oh, I'm just about to that lake, hoping I can camp there. There it is, Rock of Ages Lake. Saw pictures of this many years ago, pretty much from this vantage point, roughly. It's quite different now with all of the being all burned, of course. Now the fuzzy island used to be big pines ringing the lake. The islands were covered in big pines. It looked a lot smaller from the photos that I remember, but pretty good sized lake actually. Really pretty. Big grove of white pines up there, I see. They're all just dead skeletons now. Wow. Beautiful. Nobody here. I'm camping here. Gonna go look around for some tent pads. Not much work has been done to this campsite to clear all the dead trees. There's barely any over here. Tent pad choices aren't good. Too good. Kind of a spot down here. Pretty slopey, kind of skinny. Right up here, sort of, but big drop off right here where I'm standing. Right up here's a nice little pile, though. It's actually kind of squishy. And there's a spot down in a hole here, but holy cow. I could make that work if I had to, I guess. Won't count it out. I think that's about my 3 choices. But other than that, it's a great site compared to the last one I was at. There's even some areas out of the wind. Of course, the wind is calming down now. Wow. Trip note. South Wild right here is 6.9 miles. From the green zone, it's about 1.3, the end of the green zone. And took about 45 minutes to walk here from the end of the green zone, not too bad. There is a loon out there yet. Probably an immature one, I'm sure. Just hasn't left yet. And then I come and check out this spot. Holy cow, am I in a state park or what? Look at that. A framed tent pad filled with gravel. Oh, that's big enough too. It's right next to the cliff on the edge of the lake. But wow, that's a beauty. Thank you whoever built that. I think I know where I'm gonna set up my tent now. I had my snacks bag in my pack. I had dumped it right here by the fire grate area when I went down there to set up my tent, and I got back and look what's in it, a hole. And got through the outer bag and the inner bag, but I don't think he got anything out of it. You could just chew the hole, 2 holes through the plastic. To be on a lookout for that little bugger, little campsite thief. Speak of the devil, what are you doing? You can't steal my food. Boy, for such a remote site, I sure wouldn't think there'd be enough people here to make them that tame. Well, the tent did fit there. Kind of filled up that pad. That's a 6 Moon Design Lunar Duo, and so it's a pretty good sized tent. You could sleep 2 people in it. It's nice, really awesome for one. But it's like right here on the edge of the cliff, but really nice pad. That worked out great. Yeah, dinner tonight is going to be a Camp Chow single ham mac and cheese. Had these before. Comes from Camp Chow, which is on Trail Center. Sells these. Awesome stuff. Highly recommend it. Boiling some water on my alcohol stove. Hiding back here behind the fire rate because I do get gusts of wind sometimes. Plus, it's a kind of a nice view. Here's a little trick I like to do, even if I do use these bags from Camp Chow, which are just plastic bags, or basically freezer bags. I'll set it in my pot cozy and set this on top, and then it'll keep it warm longer, since it's about 35 degrees out here right now, or maybe a touch more. It isn't going to work too good. I'll have to get some air out of the bag and then set that on top. But that'll help. Usually I just dump these in my pot, but I'm being a little bit lazy tonight, and then I don't have to clean my pot. Nice clear water in Rock of Ages Lake. Here come those dreaded right before sunset clouds. We had just a nice patch of clear sky for a while, and there come those clouds to take away the pretty sunset and cool it off fast. Good evening from Rock of Ages Lake. Great campsite. It's small, not the best tent pad choices, but the one I've got works. It's a little small for my tent, kind of close to a cliff and the lake, but I really do like this site. It's beautiful. I've wanted to see this for a long time. It's been on my bucket list ever since the very first time I saw a photo of this campsite, which was obviously before the fire, and it's still beautiful. It's different, but it's beautiful. Got all my chores done, eating dinner, water filter for tomorrow. I'm just sitting back here. It's only 6:45 roughly, and there's not much light left. It gets dark really early this time of year, and it's really cool. It's right about 34, I suppose, right about there, I'd say. And it's supposed to get down to 32 tonight, just a little bit cooler, right at freezing, and colder tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes, but still great weather. No chance of rain so far. Supposed to get windier again a little bit tomorrow, but not as bad. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on exploring the Powwow Trail. It's been really good so far. Thanks for joining along, and thanks for watching.